Riverfront Conservancy, and so excited to be standing here with you all today on this historic morning as we open the gates to the grand opening for the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Thank you all for being here today and being part of this occasion. I'm going to be serving as your MC this morning. We have others to thank so many folks who have been part of this project for years to bring this park to fruition. There's a lot of people that we want that over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. And I want to start with a thanks to the Conservancy staff, experienced leaders who stepped forward with determination, clarity, and here today, opening this new park along Detroit. These development officer, Karen has been involved in literally every project 20 years plus, and this is her last project for Karen. Together for our organization, the people who use, for me, what began as an interim role, one that I'm incredibly fortunate to take on. It's been a privilege to help lead the Conservancy through a period of rebuilding and transformation, strengthening the organization and preparing for what's ahead. Connection, beauty, nature, and community come together, and thanks to your support, it is thriving. Today, you'll hear from our partners in this work from all corners of our region. But first, I'm pleased to welcome Fernando Cuellar, a student from Western International High School, for a land acknowledgement. Fernando?
We acknowledge that we gather on Wantamuyam, as refers to as Detroit, the ancestral and contemporary homeland of the three fire confederacy that comprise of the Nishian Nation, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi, as well as other nations past and present. We honor in gratitude the land itself and the people who restored it throughout the generations. We also acknowledge the legacy in our region and the enslaved African people who built Detroit during its colonial era. We recognize the dispute of their descendants and the African here in Detroit, one of the largest major African-American cities in the United States. As we celebrate this opening and the conservative works moved southwest along the river, we honor in the immigrants community in Detroit.
All right, thank you, Fernando. And amazing that Western High School, to think, is right along Clark Park, not too far from here, and a lot of connection happening between this park and the rest of the city parks through the Greenway system. Okay, we would not be standing here today if it weren't for our incredible community partners, and we put together a short video highlighting their support. So we're going to direct everyone's attention to the video board over here, just stage left.
We went to 3 different cities, Philadelphia, Chicago, we got the best of what we thought was just as important, and we brought it back.
From the very beginning, the voice of this community has been part of the design process for the park. And when folks come and visit Winter Park for the first time, they will not only see, but they will feel that community engagement. This project is truly a reflection of Detroit.
We started with ideas, but we had to ask Detroiters what they really want. And Detroiters came out and they told us what they wanted. We had a tech team that came and told us what they wanted. We had seniors. We had environmentalists, teenagers. We had elementary school kids.
These are the voices of little children who had dreams and they were building.
We had to climb up when we could explore. And the living room out here really beautiful.
They are now here and ready to stay for many generations, hopefully, and I hope a lot of kids will enjoy them.
We had a picture. We came through and walked, and they asked us if we could live apart, how we wanted to be, what we wanted to be.
I feel like it's a good way to let the public know that they are heard and let them see that when their voices are heard, it is great and beautiful.
It makes me so amazed to have such a little idea become something so big, become something that will be here forever. We didn't even know that it would become. Yeah, well, I do think that it's a part of it. I'm just thinking about the big experiences. That was a big part of our incentive to invest in it, is to bring people together to engage in public activity. We need places to gather, to do healthy things together that are fun and the byproduct to healthy more vibrant community on another side. Intentionality, the process of building this community is really beautiful. We're getting from the community members feedback from us when we talk about these places before, that it's going to be accessible for folks even in a wheelchair. We're just incredibly grateful for the partnership for the process, and the intentionality behind making sure it's accessible and safe and fun for everyone. Absolutely beautiful. It is a world-class park for sure, and it is just exciting to see the investment and the collaborative effort to ensure that we have a park that looks as beautiful as it is right here in the city of Detroit, so all of our residents, no matter where they come from, can have access to a world-class park right here in Detroit.
So one of the really beautiful aspects of this project is kind of the legacy that this is creating through family experiences. And not all be a part of community initiatives, especially ones that uplift the community. I know that growing up in South East Michigan, I would love for Centennial Park in Detroit. I'm very jealous. Wow, I love this. The progress that the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy and their partners, the progress that they've made from a physical transformation of this space is phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it. What a space like this, a place like this does for communities, creates more inclusive ways to live, to work, and play, and enjoy life. That's my idea of fun.
It starts really with equity for the Metro Park. So for us to make an investment in the city, in this gorgeous water garden, this is a dream come true for us, right? Could you imagine a better, more world-class facility, more exciting project to be part of than Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park? I can't.
Most people, when they see the Riverwalk, they say it's amazing. The #1 Riverwalk 3 years in a row, but they don't see what it took to get to that point, to acquire the land, to clean up the industrial brownfields, the legacy of the Industrial Revolution along the shoreline. That's the first step, clean that up. And then creating the place, the unique place for kids and families, and then making it also welcoming to birds and fish and other life, and is showing what we want for the future for our kids and our grandkids.
What this is a beautiful space with a beautiful vantage point of the city, of the Ambassador Bridge, and it's really a place that we hope that families will come and enjoy themselves, spend some time out here in the green space, and build memories.
It is an iconic space because think of all the things that are here, and just within this 22 acres, a series of different ways for people to come together. I mean, we brought the best folks from around the country to imagine what this could look like, and we had them interact with a whole bunch of our community members so that You know, we took the best from around the world, but we also made it authentically Detroit.
We often hear that if you build it, they will come. And what we found is that we wanted to make sure that the community was being represented, because if you build something that they have not asked for, then they may not come, they may not enjoy the park. So we wanted to make sure that we had their input, we heard their voices, we incorporated the ideas that they asked for. And I think that, you know, it was important that we get it right.
Well, to finally give Detroiters basketball on the riverfront, it makes the family proud to see this. Some of the best basketball players ever play the game have come out of the city of Detroit. So to be able to really put our stake in the ground and say, no, Detroit is a basketball mecca, at least equal to Chicago or Philadelphia. We're doing that with this sport house. So we're bringing basketball down to the riverfront. We're bringing it back to the neighborhoods from the other parks we've done. We're putting Detroit back on the basketball map.
Parks, at the end of the day, are in the business of making memories for people. So you think about what's going to happen in this space, right? Somebody's going to have their first slam dunk back there. Somebody's going to take a knee and propose. Kids are going to have birthday parties. There's going to be family reunions. You know, the space that's created that will extend into people's lives, I think that's what gives me goosebumps and thinks about what this can be for everybody that's going to have the opportunity to experience it.
It's for everybody. It's for everybody, truly. Here on the riverfront, everyone feels welcome. When I think of this park, I think about family fun. I think about connectivity. I think about growth. I think about all the things that bring people together.
Childhood is all about building memories, right? And can you imagine the memories our kids in Detroit are going to be able to build here with their friends, with their family, with their schoolmates? This is not just a gift to them. It's part of them.
It's going to continue the reputation of a world-class riverfront on a whole new scale and level.
Detroiters deserve this beauty. They deserve this kind of park.
All of us owe an incredible thanks to everyone who contributed to making this park a reality. This is not something that we are going to enjoy just today, but to think about the impact that this is going to have in years and decades to come is incredibly meaningful. And here at the Conservancy, we are so thankful to everyone who pulled together to deliver this park for all to enjoy.
What I hope particularly young people, but all people, take away from this park is that somebody they will never meet and never know cared enough about them to make this investment for them. This is your park. It may have his name on it, but this is your park. You need to own it. You need to love it. You need to enjoy it. This park is for everyone.
All right. When we showed the first draft of that video around the office, it brought many of our staff tears to their eyes. So it's a really moving tribute to this park and everyone that made it a reality. It absolutely does take a community to transform the riverfront, as we have done for more than 20 years. And here to talk about that is our chair, the founding chair of the Conservancy, the man who has championed the vision of this organization for more than 2 decades. Please welcome Matt Cullen.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Another beautiful day on the riverfront. We have celebrated together, as Ryan said, for 25 years as we've been building this, and today is probably one of the best. I want to step back for a second, though, and thank Ryan, because I know I speak on behalf of not just his team, but the board of directors and our entire community, to thank him for the way he stood up over the last couple of years and has led this organization. So how about a round of applause for Ryan? Since I mentioned the Conservancy board, I'd also like to give them a shout out. So if you could stand or wave and be acknowledged, I just want to thank everybody for all of the work that you've done. So thank you for being here with us. Thanks for the years of terrific service. And most importantly, thanks to all of you for being here today for the grand opening of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park and also the kickoff of the Detroit Harvest Fest, which has become its own tradition, a fall tradition that brings thousands of Detroiters. And I think the number is going to start being tens of thousands when they have a place like this to celebrate it. So while the video is certainly a tough act to follow, and it showcased a lot of the people that are so important to the park and the things that have taken place, I'm going to do my best to extend the thanks just a little bit further. Now, in 2023, we celebrated the completion of the 3.5-mile East Riverfront. Today, we take a significant step towards completing the West Riverfront and our ultimate vision of 5.5 miles of perpetual public access to this beautiful waterway. And we're not only opening this magnificent park today, but also two very important stretches of the Riverwalk just behind us. The boardwalk in front of the Riverfront Towers and a key piece across the parcel owned by the Downtown Development Authority. Those two small pieces are going to serve as a gateway from all of downtown to not only the Ralph Wilson Park, but to the West Riverfront and all of Southwest Detroit. I'd like to thank Kevin Johnson, all the past and present leaders of the DEGC for their partnership over the years and for building out that beautiful portion of the Riverwalk for us. I also want to thank our friends at the Riverfront Towers for opening up their front yard and allowing us to come in front of the building and access it. I mean, it was, when we first came, I remember going with Carl Levin and asking them for their permission to allow us to do that. And there was a lot of conversation, but I think everybody's really excited about the way it's coming together. In fact, starting today, that connection will allow you not only to get to downtown, but you can take a walk all the way down to Belle Isle if you feel so inclined. So if somebody feels really ambitious, have at it. I mean, this space we're in today, I'm not going, Sullivan goes there. He's running the 1,000 miles, okay? I might take the bike, but, you know, I mean, it's funny, we talked about the other day that this piece of property no one had ever even seen probably. It was so isolated when we first came here. We bought it 18 years ago, the Conservancy did, to make it available, knowing that sometime it would be the key piece of property for us. And at the time, it was certainly in the middle of nowhere, and now I think it's really becoming quickly the center of everything when you look at how it's situated. The creation of these new segments, as well as the Southwest Greenway, I think was really one of the best examples of a public-private partnership. And we're really grateful for the support of the Ralph Wilson Foundation. You might hear that a couple times today. The William Davidson Foundation, you might hear that as well. Ford Motor Company, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and the Michigan Department of Transportation supporting these key linkages. Now, before I move on from our beautiful new boardwalk, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge a man I already mentioned, one of the greatest friends the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy and the Detroit Riverfront ever had, and that's Senator Carl Levin. Senator Levin's contributions to the revitalization of this riverfront will never be forgotten. Really, his love for the riverfront was unmatched, and we're really excited to announce that we're going to dedicate the boardwalk in his honor at a ceremony next year. So a round of applause for that, please. In the midst of everything else that Senator Levin had going on, he focused an incredible amount of attention to this riverfront. Now back to the incredible park. We really can't celebrate enough all of the partnerships that have come together to make this park possible. So I have to acknowledge a number of them. Great organizations like Delta Dental, DTE Energy Foundation, the Gilbert Family Foundation, the Herb Family Foundation, the Detroit Pistons, Henry Ford Health, the Knight Foundation, the Balmer Group, Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and the Morton Bridget Harris Foundation, and really generous individuals, including Sarah and Chip McClure, Rachel Bennett, Mark Bernstein, and Edith Wilson, and Linda Bogdan. I also want to thank the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for their participation and partnership in this project. The EPA's support created the softened shoreline you're going to see along the edge of the park, bringing new fish and wildlife habitat to this space and address legacy environmental sediments that needed to be taken care of in the river. We're really incredibly grateful to both the EPA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for leading this important piece of the project. It's really incredible to have so many organizations focus on such a complex piece of work and bring our vision to reality. So a round of applause for all of those great folks, please. Now, Ryan already shouted out the leadership of our incredible Conservancy team, and I shouted out Ryan, but I need to call out a couple more of the folks behind the scenes that have really kept this ship generally heading north. Not all the time due north, but most of the time north. Stephen Bobelik, Addison Mauk, Sarah Kayujin, where is she? Sarah Grace. I had to practice this all day. I still screwed up. Renee Rodriguez, Elise Slafani, Mark Pasco, and so many others that have stayed dedicated to this work. A round of applause for that group, please. I always go with Sarah Grace and skip her last name, and I had to do it today. Karen DePerry already got a shout out, so I won't do that again, except she can't really retire, so don't worry, we'll bring her back. Rhonda Collins, Elmira Omerovic, and from JLL have been right in the forefront of all of this, working together with the teams at Brinker, Crispin, Blaze, Contracting, and the best tradesmen in the country that have been able to make this park come to life. They've been here every day. Yeah, a round of applause is appropriate for that. They've been here every day since we broke ground, not only bringing the project in on time, but building it of a quality that's going to make it available for many generations to come and make the city proud at the same time. Who else to thank? How about 300 Conservancy volunteers contributing thousands of hours to make sure the riverfront is clean, safe, beautiful, and welcoming to everyone. We couldn't do it without you, and your dedication is really inspiring. I especially want to, they were shouted out in the video, but I want to thank and acknowledge the 22 members of our community advisory team, more affectionately known as the CAT team. They came together and traveled across the country to make sure we brought back the best ideas from the best parks around the country. And then working with their family, friends, and neighbors, they added a little bit of a Detroit flair to make it something even more special. So shout out for our CAT team. But you know what? Making a park like this, 22 acres of this scale and of this complexity, it requires an incredible amount of time, talent, and treasure. And the partners you're going to hear from up here have really been the engine that has powered our success. The generosity of the Ralph Wilson Foundation goes beyond anything really I think a city can hope for. And we were incredibly grateful at the Conservancy when they stepped out last year in partnership with the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan to keep our work moving forward in challenging times. We've also been honored to build on our partnership with the William Davidson Foundation to create new opportunities for sports and programs in this park. And I think it's a pretty cool legacy that the two of legendary sports owners come and intersect on this beautiful piece of property. It's really something special we have in here in Detroit. Also very grateful to be able to welcome the first Huron-Clinton Metropark in the city of Detroit. And look forward to hearing from Amy McMillan, their CEO. So thank you very much for that. Last but certainly not least, this riverfront and this park represent the best of a public-private partnership, and we're going to hear from two public leaders like Mike Duggan and Garland Gilchrist that made that possible, and we're very appreciative of that. So with that, it's really thanks to all of the incredible partners that I can stand here today and welcome you to the country's best new park and what was already the nation's best riverfront, and we're just getting started. So thank you for being here today.
All right, thank you, Matt. We appreciate your leadership for more than 2 decades in making today a reality. Yeah, there we go. So back in 2018, the Conservancy had an international design competition and selected from 4 firms as finalists. One of those visions stood out amongst the rest for the way it responded to the input from our community advisory team that you've already heard so much about today, introduced new opportunities for recreation and programming on the riverfront, and brought landscape and experiences from across our great state. I mean, have you seen this bear slide? Right here to the Detroit Riverfront. A visionary firm out of New York led by Michael Van Valkenburg and his team, shout out to Matt and Nate who are here, was selected as the overwhelming favorite to design the park that we are celebrating today. Allow me to introduce Michael Van Valkenburg himself, the creative director for Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates. Michael?
Thank you. 74 is the new 73. I could have fooled you if I hadn't blown my knee out last week. I can't tell you what an incredible honor it is to be here today. Thank you to everyone involved for selecting us to help you with this project. One of the great things about standing up in front of a group is that you actually get to say out loud things that you think to yourself, and I want to start with Matt Bird and Nate Trevethan. If you would make yourself evident. I know will you even just stand up, please? Let people know where they are. Those two guys have done so much quiet and passionate work to make what we have here a possibility. Where to begin? I want to start with Mary. And what I want to say about Mary, besides the generosity of herself and her foundation, is, you know, what's great about Mary is after she gets done saying nice things to you, you're convinced that she meant it by the way her face looked while she was talking to you. This is a truly genuine person, and I feel thank you for becoming my friend in this process. We, of course, have an army of people at MVVA who have been a part of this. Start to name some. I'll leave out the one that I should have included, so I won't mention any other names. But I want to talk about the Conservancy staff who also are not without their passion for this project. And the last couple of, when you do something like this, you sort of like, what should I say? What should I not say? I was going to start by saying the things that I wasn't going to say, but I thought that probably wouldn't be funny. The Conservancy people that we worked with believed in us. They believed in the project. Their job was to kick our ass and to make us do this on budget and on time. But behind that, there was always a belief that they were behind us working on this project. And, that just means an incredible bit to me. I want to end with just something that happened coming in, and this is what, the reward of a project like this. We were coming in, and a mom and her daughter, I'd say she was 7, were at the gate, and the daughter was beside herself that the park was not opening for 90 minutes, and it's all about that. It's just the beauty of people wanting to use this space in their own way and make it theirs by the way that they do things here. So thank you, Detroit, and everyone for making us part of this process.
All right, thank you, Michael. Our next speaker is representing one of the most generous and significant funders we've ever had during our riverfront transformation efforts, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. The impact this foundation has had, not only in Southeast Michigan, but also in Western New York, is profound for millions of people in both of those communities on either side of Lake Erie. In just 10 years, the foundation's investments in Detroit have improved lives, and their impact will be felt for generations. We're honored that this park pays tribute to the legacy of entrepreneur, veteran, and philanthropist Ralph C. Wilson Jr. To talk more about Mr. Wilson and their investment in the riverfront, please welcome Dave Egner, President and CEO of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation.
Good morning, Detroit. I asked my 7-year-old granddaughter what she would say if she were me, and she said, if I were CEO of the Wilson Foundation, I would skip 40 minutes of conversation and let us play. That is an honest story. Savannah, we will move as quickly as we can. So I'll be quick. I need to thank a few people. This is such a spectacular day, and as you explore this park, this is a spectacular place. I think Mr. Wilson would be very proud. We would not be here without a number of things that happened. Start 22 years ago. We're standing on the shoulders of the original investors and visionaries of the riverfront. Without General Motors making a contribution in the Kresge Foundation under the leadership of John Marshall at the time, and David Page as a board member who had this great vision, and Laura Trudeau as the director of Detroit programs, we wouldn't be here. So I'm so delighted that their work has evolved into what is now 5 miles, soon to be 5.5, Matt, when we get that other parcel, of the greatest riverfront in the world. So thank you to those early donors. I also want to acknowledge our Board of Trustees at the Wilson Foundation. They pushed our staff in 2017 and said, find something special to do for Mr. Wilson's 100th birthday. And we suggested some park investments, and as Jeff Littman, our chair at the time, and I were speaking and presented this concept of $50,000 in each market, Mary Wilson said, no, we're not doing that. It'll be $100 million in this market and $100 million in the other market on his 100th birthday. It's grown a bit past that. We will invest somewhere around $350 million in parks and trails in both these two markets, and that will equate to at least a direct investment from others in the projects to about $1.2 billion in parks and trails. I am privileged to work for a board that is visionary and takes action and doesn't wait. When we had the challenging times, Matt, my board didn't hesitate. We worked quickly to make sure we could keep construction going. And I need to do a special shout out to Nora O'Brien and JJ Ty. These folks spent days figuring out with the riverfront how to move forward at that moment. And I literally had to call JJ one night and say, if you don't put all those papers on your desk in your drawer and go home, I'm going to fire you tomorrow. You've got to go home to your kids. You can't work 24/7 to fix this problem. But the two of them, extraordinary in making this work. And the riverfront team came along, and without the community foundation stepping up and being helpful, we would have slowed down. But the staff at the Riverfront Conservancy, if you weren't watching or reading the news, you would have never known there was an issue. They didn't miss an event. There wasn't a day this riverfront was closed, and we didn't miss a day of construction. So thanks to the contractors, the riverfront staff, all of you for bringing this in October as we planned, and what was through some very challenging times. I would love to talk about Mr. Wilson. I know there's some signs up that tell you who he was, but I'm not qualified to do that. I only channel the words that come from our life trustees, and we're so fortunate that Mary Wilson is one of them, our current chair and life trustee, Mary Wilson. Mary, will you come up and say a few words?
Well, from the words of Ralph's great coach, Marv Levy, where would you rather be than right here, right now? Awesome. Well, in 2017, as Dave mentioned, started out 50 million. I said, no, 100 million. Yes. It was one of my greatest moments. And so we're sitting in the board, and I said, how are we going to do this? And speaking of our trustees, our committees, our staff, would you all stand? Stand. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And staff. And thank you so much. Well, so in this meeting, I said, how are we going to do this? It was like, I'm thinking, how are we going to do this? And so we hired JJ, you stand. JJ, this is JJ. And JJ, stay standing, because I haven't finished. So I said, you are a godsend. And he truly was. He has worked tirelessly bringing city, state, communities, working with the Riverfront Conservancy, and just so broad. And this man, he did fly helicopters in Afghanistan, but this was harder. Thank you, JJ. We owe you. But yes, who was Ralph, which I mentioned yesterday? Ralph grew up here. He was a Tigers fan. He was a Lions fan. He went to all those games. And eventually he started the Buffalo Bills. So Ralph loved sports. He loved activity. He worked out every day of his life, whether it was walking or jogging. And if he were here today, he would be coming to this park daily. He would love it. And he is right now looking down. He and Bill Ford are up there bringing us beautiful weather and hoping for a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. Awesome. How cool would that be? But I definitely want to give a shout out to one of the coolest people I've ever met, Michael Van Valkenburg. And one of the amazing things about the transformation of this parcel is the rolling hills. If you built the Davidson Sports Center there, and this were flat, it would look out of place. But nothing looks out of place because of the brilliance of Michael Van Valkenburg. And JJ mentioned something yesterday. You walk down every path and it opens a different vista. So there's so much brilliance behind just looking at it. Look at it closely. Look at the 600 trees that have been brought in. Look at the beauty and the brilliance of this beautiful Ralph Wilson Park. And I hope you will say, let's go down to Ralph's Park tomorrow. Go Lions and Bills.
Amazing. Thank you, Mary and Dave. Thank you for believing in this vision and stepping up to make a difference in the lives of Detroiters, so many of whom are here today. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing one of our longtime supporters. The William Davidson Foundation, the aforementioned Sport House, has been instrumental in the development of the riverfront for more than a decade, including the early stages of Robert C. Villade Park, and now one of the most iconic features in this park with the Sport House. Please welcome Darren McKeever, the president and CEO of the William Davidson Foundation.
Good morning. Teams realize dreams. When we gathered here in the spring of 2022 for the groundbreaking, we stood on dirt with dreams. And look at us now. Today we stand in a living, thriving Ralph Wilson Park, just steps from the William Davidson Sport House. Places that belong to everyone and reflect not just Detroit, but the best of Detroit. On behalf of the board and staff of the William Davidson Foundation, I'm thrilled to celebrate this incredible milestone with all of you. Ralph Wilson Park, as you've heard, is the result of decades of vision and partnership across government, philanthropy, business, and the broader community. Together, we've transformed Detroit's riverfront from an industrial corridor into one of the most celebrated public spaces in America. And we've done it by working as a team with creativity, persistence, and belief in this city. Lots of thank yous, but I'll keep this short. First, to the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy, thank you. Your leadership, your imagination, your steady hand. You've turned a bold idea into a vibrant, welcoming reality. You've shown the entire country what community-driven transformation looks like. And to our friends at the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, thank you for your remarkable vision and partnership. Ralph Wilson and Bill Davidson shared not only an entrepreneurial spirit and a deep love for this city, this region, but they also shared a belief, a dream really, that the power of sports and shared public spaces will strengthen communities and bring people together. They knew that teams realize dreams. It's that same dream that inspired the William Davidson Sport House, which now stands proudly here in this park. As many of you know, Mr. Davidson led the Detroit Pistons and Detroit Shock through championship seasons built on teamwork, tenacity, and pride. The sport house that now bears his name carries not just his spirit forward, but Ralph Wilson's spirit too. It is a place where kids and adults can come together to play, to connect, and to be part of something bigger than themselves. This park is more than a green space. It is a dream realized. So today, as we open Ralph Wilson Park to the public, let's take a moment to appreciate what we've built and are realizing together. It's not just a park, but a dream realized. A dream that Detroit's future will be shaped by collaboration, creativity, and connection, and that what we create together will last for generations. Congratulations to the team who helped make this day possible. And thank you for inviting the William Davidson Foundation to be part of it. Go team.
Awesome. Thank you, Darren. I'm going to be practicing my jumper so we can play one-on-one one of these days. The Conservancy and the Huron-Clinton Metroparks have been partners for more than 10 years, bringing programming, as you'll see the interpretive station set up behind me on the other side of the park, and education to people throughout Southeast Michigan. Thanks to the vision of the team at the Huron-Clinton Metroparks and their commissioners, we've established the Water Garden as the first Metropark in the city of Detroit. Let's give that a big round of applause. Something that's been a dream of 85 years in the making. And speaking personally, as someone who grew up visiting Metroparks regularly as a kid, as my dad who's here can attest, I can speak firsthand about how important Metroparks can be to our region and families. I cannot be more excited to be able to ride my bike with my own kids here today to the Water Gun just 5 miles from our home. So to talk more about this investment, please welcome my friend and our board member here at the Conservancy, also the CEO of the Huron-Clinton Metroparks, Amy McMillan.
Good morning, everyone. Parks are for everyone, and probably no place, no one knows that better than Detroiters. They're for every age, every background, every stage of life. They're where we learn, where we play, recharge, and connect with everyone and the natural world around us. That's what makes today so special. This is an incredible day for Detroit, for our region, and for everyone who believes that access to nature is for everyone. On behalf of the Huron-Clinton Metropolitan Authority, the Huron-Clinton Metroparks, most especially our Board of Commissioners and our entire team, I want to thank you for joining us as we celebrate something extraordinary today. The grand opening of the Huron-Clinton Metroparks Water Garden, right here in the city of Detroit at this incredibly beautiful place, Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park. For decades, the Metroparks have surrounded the city. We have 13 parks stretching across the entire region, and we welcome millions of visitors every year. But this is a first. For the first time in our 85-year history, the Metroparks have a permanent home here in the city of Detroit. And we could not be more excited and more proud and more grateful for being welcomed into the city of Detroit. The Water Garden is a living classroom. It's a gathering space and a place of discovery. Here, visitors to the park can stroll along its winding paths, sit by the water, and watch the landscape change with the seasons. Students will come here for hands-on science lessons through our supplemental science program, and we've got folks here today. They'll be testing the water quality, learning how rivers connect us, and seeing the importance of caring for our environment. At its heart, the Water Garden is all about connection, connecting children to science, neighbors to nature, and all of us to the water that defines us. This project would never be possible without partnership. I want to extend my deepest thanks to the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy, whose vision and leadership have transformed the riverfront into one of the most vibrant urban park systems in the entire country. To the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, whose generosity and commitment to public spaces here at this park and beyond have made it a reality. And to all of our partners, educators, and community members who believe as we do that everyone deserves the benefits that come from outdoor recreation. The Huron-Clinton Metroparks have always believed that nature should be accessible, inclusive, and fun. That belief has guided our work for more than 80 years, and it continues today with this beautiful new chapter on the Detroit River. So, whether you live nearby or you're visiting from across the region, I hope you'll come to explore this space. Take a walk, bring your kids, bring your dogs, and see whatever inspires you, what happens when people come together to build something like this that belongs to each and every one of us. Thank you so much, and welcome to the Water Garden.
Thank you, Amy. We're thrilled to partner with the Metroparks and appreciate your leadership in making this Detroit Metropark a reality. More than 2 decades ago, the City of Detroit, along with the Kresge Foundation and General Motors, launched the transformation of our riverfront. Since then, we've been fortunate to have the support of every administration. However, the relationship we have forged with Mayor Mike Duggan when Mike Duggan began leading the city has been essential to completing the East Riverfront through the creation of Valade Park and the Riverwalk across the former Uniroyal site, and to the long-term sustainability and operation of the nation's #1 riverfront. And Mayor Mike Duggan doubled down on his support to public space across the city by a tremendous investment in parks and greenways, especially the Joe Louis Greenway, which is already connecting neighborhoods and residents and will connect Detroiters across the city to the riverfront for generations to come. Please welcome the Mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan.
Well, this is an emotional day for me. As a kid growing up in Detroit, this time of year started to be special. This was the time where downtown got decorated for the holidays. You went down to Hudson's, did your Christmas shopping, visited Santa Claus. You get to go have hot fudge at Saunders. You had those movie theaters, right? You had beautiful parks across the city. Detroit was a special place to be a child. But for a long time, the adults failed the children in this city. And 13 years ago, we hit rock bottom when nearly all of the 270 city parks were closed for the summer and were allowed to be overgrown. So when I come through here and I see what the adults of this community have done for the next generation of Detroiters, it's almost overwhelming. And people say to me, what's your best time in being mayor? What's your best day? I said, that's easy. It's the night the train station opened. It's not even close. I sat, wasn't it great? I sat with Martha Ford, and I looked in the eyes of longtime Detroiters who saw what had been a symbol of our decline and embarrassment become a source of beauty and recovery. And I saw the joy, and I thought, I will never again in my career have a day as great as this one. And then last night, I walked the Ralph Wilson Park with hundreds of children. And I looked not in the eyes of the adults, but in the smiles and the wonder of the children as they found playground after playground and slide after slide. And I said, this is every bit as special. And I want to say thank you to everybody who made it possible. For Ralph Wilson's generosity, Mary Wilson not only has been running the foundation, she's kept Detroit in her heart. But 8 years or so ago, we opened the tennis courts at Chandler Park, and I was with her, and I said, "This is great, this is so generous." And she says, "Oh no, I have something bigger in mind." And Mary, you did. And he was very brief and very humble. But make no mistake, David Egner is the godfather of Ralph Wilson Park. I mean, from the beginning. From the first time he brought me the concept 7 years ago, I thought it was brilliant. I never could have imagined this, and through bumps that would have derailed any place else, he made sure things went smoothly, and David never, ever could have imagined the contribution you make, and everybody in Detroit wants to thank you. To Matt Cullen, to Ryan, the Riverfront Conservancy, 20 years of continued progress. Today, the Davidson Foundation, the Huron-Clinton Metro Authority, and as you go through every single donor, the people of this city appreciate it. As we were walking last night, I had to say, we're walking through the east side, I'm looking up the East River, and I think to myself, we're not done. Arn Tellem and the Detroit Pistons, on the old Uniroyal site, are going to build the most spectacular sports recreation, indoor basketball and volleyball, outdoor soccer, and flag football on the Uniroyal site that's actually twice as big as this site. And then, not too far up, Dan Gilbert is going to take the vacant land and make a Navy Pier, make the finest family entertainment center on the riverfront there. With the opening of Ralph Wilson Park today, we are building a riverfront that's going to be unrivaled in the United States. And that's what the people and the children of the city of Detroit deserve. And to everybody who made it possible, thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been awesome working with you and your team, and we're proud that our riverfront parks serve as a complement to the many beautiful parks throughout the city that your team maintains. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, who's representing Governor Gretchen Whitmer in the state of Michigan today. Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist is also on our board of directors, and he's doing double duty today. I also think Garland has the shortest walk to this park of anyone up here on the stage, if I'm not mistaken. And I have a fun fact for you. So Michael was talking earlier about the family that was trying to get into the playground. Well, 15 years ago, I was sending text messages to Matt Cullen of my oldest son, Jack, in a stroller. We couldn't get into the playground at Cullen Plaza. A few years after that, I'm at that same playground on a Saturday morning, and who do I meet? Garland Gilchrist. That was about 11 years ago. Just two dads bringing their kids to the playground to have a good time on a Saturday morning. Couldn't imagine at that moment that we'd be standing on the stage today. So please welcome Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist.
Good morning, everyone. This is such an amazing celebration. It's a celebration of how when people commit to working together, to being together, to sharing together, we can accomplish more than we could ever ask, think, or imagine. As a kid growing up in this city and its suburbs, Detroit's public spaces helped shape my memories. Every single one of us who hails from here has a memory that anchors them that happened somewhere outside in Detroit. Whether you were like me and went to Belle Isle every Wednesday with your granddaddy and he let you sit in the van with the doors open, it was great. Or whether you were like Ryan and I, and we took our children, my son, who was with me this morning, to play on the parks of the Detroit Riverfront, the place he actually learned to swing by himself. Everybody has a memory in an outdoor space in this place. And so I, too, share a tremendous debt of gratitude to everyone who brought this together. Now, he's right. I do have the shortest walk. I live in Corktown, and I returned with my family 11 years ago to this city. And we love this park so much in part because we loved it when it was an uninteresting flat rectangle with square pieces of grass. My wife and I brought our children here every weekend. So we are so excited for them to have multifaceted fun, whether they can play in the Water Garden or on the amazing William Davidson Sport House. Maybe my son will dunk a basketball in there one day. This place and the people who it serves, those people are who matter most. And that's why the state of Michigan has continued to consistently invest in every space, in every home, in every development that has happened as part of the evolution of this city to better serve our people, to better be a platform for this community to be a catapult for the success of everyone connected to this city. I thank all of you who are here to celebrate, and I thank all of you in advance who are going to utilize and transform this space and bring it even more alive than it feels right now. The beautiful thing about public spaces is that while it is important how they start, they transform as they are utilized day after day, year after year, generation after generation. It will mean even more to people who are not yet born yet than it means to us. It'll mean even more to this neighborhood and the whole west side of this city. And so on behalf of all 10 million people who call the state of Michigan home today, I look forward to each and every one of them having an experience in Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park. God bless you. Congratulations. Let's have fun being together.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We appreciate all your support and look forward to seeing you again along the riverfront. So we're here. We're at our final speaker. We're going to close out the program. We have something special, not a traditional ribbon cutting. We're actually going to be sounding the captain's salute from one of our favorite freighters along the river. And in just a short period of time, this is absolutely the best place to watch freighters in the city of Detroit. I can attest to that. After we do that, we are going to have Hooper, who's going to do the first ceremonial slam dunk at the William Davidson Sport House. So please join us over there. So to sound the salute, I'm going to welcome to the stage our final speaker and CAT member, Denise Kennedy, who has spoken at all three of the critical moments of this park.
All righty. Thank you so much. What up, Doe? All right. Good morning. What a beautiful day, yes? All right, I'm back for the third time, and it's a charm, right? I'm honored to speak today on behalf of the Community Advisory Team. I think I'll turn it a little bit that way. And 21 people selected from across Detroit with very diverse backgrounds, 3 cities, Chicago, Philadelphia, and New York, bringing back the best, innovative, and sustainable ideas for Detroit. We thank Detroit for completing surveys, attending meetings with us, for being so honest and keeping it real with the team. It helped us to write this love letter, which we feel this park is, to the city of Detroit. Some of you have heard my story about my curiosity of how I began this journey, about this development, and it began with my community, the Live 6 community, that how it would be included, and I'm proud to say the curiosity has led me to be a part of a dream come true of 22 acres on the Detroit Riverfront. The CAT team would like to thank the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy for setting the table and inviting 21 Detroiters not only to have a seat at the table, okay, I'm getting it there, guys, but more importantly, we were welcomed, respected, and included in all aspects of the park development, we were heard. And that's called equity, folks. So on behalf of the Community Advisory Team, it's been an incredible journey and opportunity, and we are excited to officially declare Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park is now open. Sound the horn. Let's go have some fun.